talk, once again, get in line.
David Pearl, 79 Main Street. I'm a little bit confused with the process. After each one of these warrant articles, we voted to move it to the ballot.
Correct.
Is that correct?
It's a formality. Seriously, it's a formality.
So if we all voted no.
One second. If you've been to the school district meetings, they don't take that vote. It's the exact same process. We do it as a formality to get them sent to the room of whether people want to do this or not. We could go through this entire process and say, this is what the warrant says, we'll talk about it, amend the numbers up and down, and then move on to the next article. That's an absolute, no, I'm
So
sorry.
frankly, I've been coming to this meeting for 3 years.
Okay.
And I always thought that a negative vote at that vote would stop the warrant article. I think
Statutorily, you can't.
Well, I think this may be one place where we need to insert a word advisory, or at least explain to people, because we were talking before about people that don't pay attention to the process, not being familiar with it. I have paid attention to this process, and every time I voted, I thought that vote would actually move or not move the question. I've never seen one that didn't move, but now we're being told that that's just an advisory vote.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mark Evil, 42 Main Street again. I guess I would echo the previous speakers. It's always been my understanding that a deliberative session is to discuss whether to move articles forward to the election. And I recall a very heated discussions here last year where we not only just had a voice vote, we stood up and heads were counted. For what purpose? It's going to go with the next election anyway. I would also add, what are these secret ballots for? If we vote no, I would think a warrant article would be defeated and not be presented forward to the election. That's what we're here for. That's what a deliberative session is, to have the citizens vote to whether we want these proposed warrant articles onto the election ballot. Now, having said that, I do want to make an amendment to this proposal. I would like to have it read towards the end where it says town administrator and the majority of town council, and strike the words, no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. That does not destroy the intent of the article, and it does not make it intrusive. Once again, towards the end, the second to last line, and shall pay out the same only upon the order of the town administrator and the majority of town council, and strike the words, no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Thank you.
Second to that motion? Mr. Young, where's the second? Discussion on the amended language. He's been active for you. Whoa.
Again, to confuse Tom Barrett, who didn't intend to speak at this meeting at all, but I'm sorry. This is an example of the doggone planning, the lack of planning that I've ever seen. I just don't think anything of this importance should be brought before the group like this without some explanation of what's going on, and also some thought about all the impacts of all this stuff that we're talking about. These amendments and changes I don't think are in order, because I don't think the basic article is in order. The one thing I don't understand, and I'd like to clarify, we've been voting all along, and we've 17 articles previously. If we had voted no on any one of these articles, would it mean anything at all?
Stephen Buckley, Town Council. Yeah. The moderator is correct. This is a budgetary town meeting that employs RSA 4013 as the guiding principle of how you have a deliberative session and then a voting session. That statute, which has been in effect, also known as SB2 for many years, makes very clear all articles that appear on the warrant as presented by the town council must go to the voters. Must. And in fact, many towns follow the procedure described by the moderator, where the moderator discusses an article, its article is amended or not, and it goes on the warrant. There's no vote. The fact that the moderator here has a vote, get a sense of the meeting, is technically irrelevant. All articles on the warrant must appear before the voters. And that's been further clarified in the legislature, that you can't amend the warrant article to make it lose its entire subject matter. That might appear confusing, it might appear to be something that doesn't make sense, but that is the law. You have to put before the voters all articles which are posted in the warrant by the town council. No ifs, ands, or buts.
All right, Mr. Buckley, I understand that, and I understand, in fact, that makes it very clear, but what I don't understand then is the procedure we've been going through to move to place this article on the warrant. If, in fact, you are correct, and I'm not debating that, if you are correct, then we shouldn't even be having this so-called, would you like to place it on the
Yeah,
warrant?
exactly.
It's on the warrant.
It is on warrant, exactly.
Okay, well, why
Exactly.
have to vote?
We won't next year then. I mean, seriously, I mean,
All right, if, in that particular case, if I stood here right now and said, we're going to call a question, and I suggested everybody vote no, what would happen then?
call the question is not debatable. We have to call the question. Which basically ends the discussion. That's all the calling the question does. It ends
What
the
happens,
discussion.
what happens if this body votes no?
It still goes on the ballot,
So it doesn't mean anything.
pretty much.
Thank you.
We're talking about the amendments still.
Yes, I understand. I think it might need to be some clarification. Perhaps from now on, we should call it, do we consent to have it listed on the ballot? And as far as how the votes turn out here, it does have an effect. It's a matter of record how we vote in this room. It's being recorded in a number of different venues here. So that will have an effect on the general population as to how they vote. They're going to follow our lead, perhaps. A citizens' government needs citizens to participate, and that's what we're doing here, and it's a good thing. The amendment to this warrant article, I don't think would stand up because now we're changing the basic intent of RSA 3195. So it wouldn't stand up. So I think, amending this is foolishness. Now, can I speak to the article afterwards?
We have to talk, yeah, we haven't talked about the amendment at this point.
Okay, but the amendment I think is foolish.
Any further discussion on the amendments? Mr. Revo?
Mark Nevo, Point to Main Street. I don't see how the intent has changed here. The basic intent of this warrant Article 18 is to provide revenue for the ambulance services to the operating budget for the fire department. My amendment only clarifies who gets to be approved for the payout, and the fact that it involves the legislative body does not affect the overall intent of this article. Should I remove the words ambulance services or revenues derived therefrom, that would be the actual intent of this article. To stipulate that general terms of how that's being implemented is not changing the intent of the article. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the amendments? Seeing none. All in favor of amending the article to change the language? That's what I'm going to do. You're welcome. We'll start at the line, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, the end of the fourth line down the page. The town treasurer shall have custody of all the monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon the order of the town administrator and the majority of the town council to expend. No further proof, we're striking the language after that semicolon. No further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. And the language that says such funds may be expended only for the purposes which the fund was created stays in. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does that make sense to everybody?
No.
So we have the same only on the order of the town administrator and majority of the town council approval to expend. Sorry. Okay. I didn't get it in writing, so. All right. So is that, basically what they're looking to do is to change, it's hard to picture in this little graphic here. Take out the language, no further approval by the is required by the legislative body to expend. Take that out and then put shall pay out the same only to the, upon order of the town administrator and the majority of the town council approval to expend. Does that make sense? Does it, that's what the, I believe is what they're looking, Mr. Michael has
That's the
proposed.
intent of it, yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So, all in favor of amending that article to put in that language and take out the other language, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, all the ayes stand up, please. Don't count me. 1, 2, 3. I'll be right back. Eileen, you want to help me count this side? Nancy, you standing up? I assume you are.
I know.
I told you I don't count on Sunday, on Saturdays. 1, 2. Everybody name, please stand up. George, you can't vote twice. Sit down.
He changed his mind.
You can't sit down. You can't vote twice.
I didn't know I voted.
Yeah, you did.
You stand up.
7? Oh, the ayes have it. 18 to 37. You want to count? We need to count. 18 to 37. 18, nay, 37, yea. On the amendment. Okay, so we're back to the discussion of Article 18. You don't have to go all the way down there. Nobody in line, come on.
Hi, I would have supported the article without the amendment. The article, I think, is being misunderstood by a lot of people, and that is that this ambulance service, which the town does provide, would be a self-sufficient thing. We wouldn't be coming here for capital reserve funds to buy a new ambulance when it's needed, because the money would be accumulating in this account for it. It would be totally separate from everything in the town. In other words, it actually compartmentalizes something that should be. But with this amendment that's here, I fear that all we're going to do is end up getting sued by the state now, because we've changed the intent of the RSA 3195H. So I would encourage everybody to not recommend this article, even though it will be posted. It would be a matter of record that we did not consent to it being posted on the ballot.
Are you still confused?
I'm no longer confused. I'm now curmudgeon. In this particular case, I'd love to see what we're going to have. I'm also a little bit of a troublemaker, I guess, in this case too. I'd like to vote no on this thing, and I hope that I get a little support. And for two reasons: one, it doesn't make any difference, and two, I'd love to see what it does do. So I encourage anyone to vote no on this particular article.
Joanne?
Joanne McHugh, 14 Jefferson Drive. They're betting back there whether or not I'm going to get up or I'm not going to get up.
Not all the way back.
It won't be a town meeting, deliberative session if you don't speak.
Okay, I guess my question is, on every one of the warrant articles that we've seen thus far, there have been recommendations on both sides, both from the town council and from the budget committee. And on this particular one, there isn't neither. And I'm just wondering, since we seem to be more or less in a dead heat here, where we're going with this, and I just wondered, or I would ask the town council if they would give us their opinion and how much they vetted this out, as well as the budget committee. Thank you.
Actually, maybe if I might, I'd get the assistance of the chief as well, because I could do it through questioning. I think, Chief, could I, is you all right? Sure. So, Chief, looking at this warrant article, let's try to be very, I'm a simple guy, so I need it very simple for me. Okay, so